Imagine walking into a crowded bar on a Friday night. Music is loud. People are laughing. Cameras are recording every entrance and exit. Now imagine this. A man walks inside. The cameras capture him clearly. But when police check the footage later, they discover something impossible. He never comes out. No exit. No goodbye. No trace. And from that moment on, he is never seen again. This is the chilling mystery of Brian Shaffer. A normal night. Brian Shaffer was a 27-year-old medical student studying at Ohio State University in the city of Columbus. To everyone who knew him, Brian seemed like a normal young man with a bright future. He was smart, outgoing, and only months away from becoming a doctor. But his life hadn't been easy. Just weeks before he disappeared, Brian's mother had died from cancer. Friends said he was heartbroken, but he was trying to stay positive. On March 31, 2006, Brian decided to go out with friends for a night of fun before leaving for a vacation in Miami. It was supposed to be a normal night. But it would become one of the most mysterious disappearances in American history. That evening, Brian went out with his friend William Florence. They started bar hopping around the busy nightlife district near campus. Later that night, they arrived at a popular bar called Ugly Tuna Saloon. The bar was located inside a large complex called South Campus Gateway. It was crowded that night. Music was playing. Hundreds of college students filled the building. Security cameras were recording the entrance. And at 1:55 a.m., the cameras captured Brian walking up the escalator toward the bar. He stopped briefly outside the entrance and talked with two women. Then he walked inside. This would be the last confirmed sighting of Brian Shaffer. Investigators later reviewed every second of security footage. The cameras clearly showed Brian entering the bar. They showed his friends leaving. They showed dozens of other people walking out. But something was missing. Brian Shaffer never appeared again. Not on any camera. Not at any exit. Nothing. It was as if he had simply vanished inside the building. The next morning, Brian was supposed to catch a flight to Miami with his girlfriend Alexis Wagoner. But he never showed up. At first, people thought maybe he had stayed out late. Maybe his phone battery died. Maybe he overslept. But hours passed. Then a full day. Brian Shaffer was gone. His family reported him missing. And soon, the mystery began. Police in Columbus quickly began searching for answers. They questioned friends. They interviewed bar employees. They examined every camera in the building. Detectives carefully studied the security footage from Ugly Tuna Saloon. They watched it again. And again. And again. The result was shocking. Brian was clearly seen entering the bar. But there was no footage of him leaving. Every other guest who entered that night eventually appeared leaving the building. Except Brian. Days after Brian disappeared, his phone began doing something strange. Friends and family called his number repeatedly. Most of the time, it went straight to voicemail. But sometimes, it would ring. Not just once. Several times. Each time investigators tried to trace the signal. But they could never find the exact location. Eventually, the phone stopped ringing forever. Police searched the entire complex. They checked basements, elevator shafts, construction areas, nearby rooftops. They even brought in cadaver dogs to search for any sign of a body. Nothing was found. No evidence. No accident. No crime scene. Just silence. The strange part is that the area around South Campus Gateway had many security cameras. If Brian had walked outside, there was a high chance he would appear on at least one camera. But investigators found no footage of him anywhere outside the building. It was as if he disappeared between one moment and the next. With no evidence, people began forming their own theories. Some believed Brian left through a construction exit that cameras did not cover. At the time, parts of the building were still under construction. Maybe he used a service door. Maybe he slipped past security. But even if that happened, where did he go after that? Another theory suggested Brian might have had an accident somewhere nearby. Maybe he fell into a construction area. Maybe he was injured and unable to call for help. But investigators searched every part of the complex. Nothing was ever found. Some believe Brian may have encountered someone dangerous that night. Maybe a fight started. Maybe he left with the wrong person. But again, there is no evidence. No witnesses. No reports of violence. Just an empty trail. A few investigators even considered something unusual. What if Brian chose to disappear? Some people start new lives. They leave everything behind. But this theory raises many questions. Brian was close to becoming a doctor. He had a girlfriend waiting for him. He had friends, family, and a future. Why would he walk away from everything? And if he did, how did he leave a crowded bar without a single camera recording him? Months turned into years. Searches continued. Interviews continued. But the mystery remained unsolved. Brian Shaffer's father spent years searching for answers. Sadly, he passed away in 2008 without ever knowing what happened to his son. Today, the case remains open. And investigators still hope that one day, someone will come forward with the truth. Even now, nearly 2 decades later, the disappearance of Brian Shaffer continues to confuse investigators. How can someone walk into a crowded bar, with cameras watching every entrance, and then simply vanish? Did Brian secretly leave through a hidden exit? Did something happen inside the building? Or did he disappear somewhere between the cameras, in a way no one noticed? Some mysteries slowly reveal their answers over time. Others stay hidden forever. And the disappearance of Brian Shaffer may be one of those mysteries. Because on a normal night in Columbus, a young medical student walked into a bar full of people. And somehow, he was never seen again.